Hello,
everybody. I hope you're doing well. And this is Sow and Tare. I am Katrina. We do a weekly live chat. And today I am at my parents'. So made a trip, did a surprise Happy Father's Day for stuff. And here comes my mom. Hi.
Hi.
You can stay if you want.
No, I got stuff to do.
Okay. That's my mom. Anyway, so that is what's going on here, and I am anticipating this being a short live because I do have to drive home tonight. It's a long drive. So that's what we're starting with, and I see Verna's here. Where's everybody else? Where's everybody else? Anyway, Verna is Vase Place with a little blue wrench, and she is one of my moderators. She's awesome, and she catches all the bad guys. She says, "Hey, Mom." Verna says, "Hey."
Oh.
She says, "Hey, back."
Oh, I should just actually get in the picture and wave.
Yeah?
Where am I? Oh, over there. It's backwards.
It's backwards.
Hi, Verna.
All right. All right. So Verna's moderator. She also does homesteading in her apartment setting. So check out her channel. She does a live on Saturday mornings. And yeah, PJ's here. Hello, my friends. Hello, PJ. I hope you're doing well, and I hope your moving is doing well. Yeah. I hope it's all good. Serena's here. Welcome. She says, "Hi, cousins." Hi, Serena. Welcome. Steve's here. S.S. Swanson, the little blue wrench, is my other moderator, and he is awesome and raises quail. And he says, I'm here. Don't mark me absent. And Steve says, "Hello, Miss Mary. Are you going to join me?"
Sure. Hey.
You want to join me too?
Okay, this is the last time I'm going to wave because I'm going to take the dog for a walk. All right. Hey.
All right. We're going to move this over. You want to move the table?
I'll move you.
My dad's doing yoga, I think. You okay there?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move this over here. So my dad's here with us. Okay. So going through, we've said hello to some people. Everybody's saying hi. Serena has a joke already. What do underground rodents do when they want something? They go for it. Awesome. Eric is here. Good evening, all. Good evening, Eric. On with our thing. Oh, the internet just went low. Hopefully, you guys can still see us.
Hello.
It has a little thing. Anyway, PJ's in South Carolina with her son. Awesome. Is everything moved? PJ's moving from New York to South Carolina.
But that's culture shock.
No, she wasn't in New York City. Anyway, I hope your movie is going great or already has gone great, and it'll be good. All right, everybody's saying hi. Verna says hi to you.
Yeah, I already waved.
Okay, you read ahead. All right, which underground rodent is always helping law enforcement? Mole. PJ says, "Hey, John and Mary."
Hi.
And Dawn says, "Good evening." Good evening, Dawn. Hope you're doing good. And Steve says, "Greeting, Mr. John."
Hi.
Hi.
Don't know who you are, but hi.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. They know you. Oh my gosh, Serena's on a rodent kick. Is it because of stuff I had on the weekly live or the weekly weekend review? Which rodent is always catching suspiciously? Squirrel. Squirrely. Oh boy. Okay, PJ says, "I brought 2 trips of stuff, still lots more to get." That is okay. That is okay. Take your time. And hopefully it all goes well. Dawn has been hatching quail for how long have you been hatching quail this year? She's been hatching like every month or multiple times a month. So quail has started hatching today.
Busy birds.
It's always fun. Yes. Joy says hello from Western Oregon. Hello, Joy. Joy is a few hours north of me. And I hope you're doing well, and I hope you are healing and all of that. We are getting smoke in Central Oregon here, and hopefully you aren't getting smoke. But there's a big fire north of here. What is it up to? It still says 1,500 acres. 1,500 acre fire. And for those that don't have that as a spatial knowledge, 640 acres is a square mile. So that is more than 2 square miles. It's pretty big.
Well, since it just began.
When did it start?
Sometime this afternoon.
Yeah. And it's windy too. So yeah, not in danger. If it comes this far, it's going to be a huge fire. So I'm going to say not in danger. We've been watching the fire planes go over and all that. All right. PJ needed a tractor trailer or a convoy. Yeah, something like that. I don't know what that is, Serena. Which NBA team is the loudest? OKC Thunder? Because it's Thunder?
Oklahoma City.
See, I don't, yeah. Oh my gosh, more than 5 trips, PJ. Keep using my small trailer, less if my friend uses big trailer. Yeah. Well, you're getting your miles in. Oh, okay. Dawn says, yes, this is batch 5 from March for April Fool's Day. This batch started hatching today, got 4 Wednesday, and the next batch of 72 ships. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, she's doing batches of 72 quail. So, yeah. Did all the dads have a good Father Day? Serena's asking.
I did. My daughter came.
I surprised him on Saturday. Anime Gamers here. Hello, Desiree. Hi. And you got 4 chicks. Awesome. Desiree got some. I'm telling your story, Desiree. I hope that's okay. When she was at QuailCon last year, she got some of the quail that were running around on the floor because once they've exited the cages, they're not allowed to go back in. And she's been keeping them and hatched some eggs from them.
So she's got the fugitives.
She has the fugitives, yes, from my shire. Erica says, Andy went to the doctor Tuesday. Oh, does he have residuals? He has some badly bruised ribs and some back strain, but otherwise okay. So Erica didn't make it to the Cook With Me Live this last time, which is when we made those biscuits, because she was driving across part of the country to pick up her husband. He got in a bad one. The truck did not come home. So I hope he is doing well and that he heals well, because that's all we can hope for, right? And I hope you guys get a fun truck. Something. Oh, anime. They hatched too early, 2 of them. Did you have a secondary No, you didn't have a secondary thermometer. You were doing it you were like hand turning and stuff, right? Yeah. What did Erica do to him? She rescued him, is what she did. Time for wild lettuce, Erica. So wild lettuce is also called prickly lettuce, and it is a medicinal weed. It's a weed that you would throw out, but the latex part of that has medicinal qualities for healing. And fun fact, I don't know if you know this, it did used to grow here. I haven't seen it in a long time. And whenever my brother got hurt, I would use it as a Band-Aid, but they had spikes on the underside of the rib of the leaf, and I would just press it on it. It worked.
Velcro?
Kind of. Velcro goes into skin. Oh man. All right. And wild lettuce is the prickly lettuce is the predecessor to our lettuce we have for our salads. So it does not taste the greatest, but of course we, being humans, selected for it to taste good. 2 eggs left. Hopefully hatch. I hope they hatch 2, Desiree. Good luck. Yeah, Erica says he was in an accident. Yeah. And he says, I found out what you guys mean by screamers. So when you have little quail and they need something, it's usually when they need something. Either there's too much light, or there's not enough warmth, or they don't have a buddy, or they've gotten lost in the brooder and can't find their way to the heat, or they think they need something that they don't need. They will just peep forever. Beep, 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 and keep on going.
It's like a baby human.
Yeah. So, good way to help with that at nighttime is to make them have sunset. So if you have a dimmer switch on your light, you can, set it to dim or go in and lower the light every once in a while, and it will simulate sunset. And another way to do that is if you have a broody mama out in your cages or your aviary, bring her inside, let her have a baby, and she will shut that little kid up. When I had broody Nana bird in the brooder, those were the quietest hatches I had. So yeah. Oh, Serena's watching. What did you say it was? Basketball? I don't know what it is. Football? Serena's watching sports. Erica already got some. Good.
That's basketball.
Good. Is basketball? How do you know that? You don't watch basketball?
I know the names of the teams.
I don't. All right. Dawn says, bruised ribs kept me sitting still for a solid week. I fell off a boat dock and scraped them on a boat. Ooh, I fell between the boat and the dock. That does not sound good.
Yeah, it's like when a dog pulled me down.
That's right. Remy, their dog. What were you doing? You're up on the hill, right?
Yeah, I was
With a leash?
Yeah, found a rabbit. I chased.
Went after the rabbit, and so did you. Yeah, not fun. Desiree said I had to take them out to clean the dead babies. Now they don't stop screaming to be held. Yeah. Yeah, they need friends. Sarita says, why don't fish like to play basketball? They don't like to end up with nothing but net. You cannot dim a heat lamp. That is true. I use a heat plate. I like them better. They have less chance for fire, and
Change the light bulb.
change the light bulb. Yes, I think they need the heat. If you use a heat plate, the ones that I have used, it has to have an ambient temperature of at least 55 degrees. If it's below that, it doesn't work as it's supposed to. And the heat plate has to be low enough that the birds can actually press their backs up against it. That's where a lot of people go wrong and fail with that, is they think that it's going to heat the area. And you will feel some heat, but it won't be hot enough as a heat source from something. They have to actually touch it to get it. That's my solution. And actually, you can use also a reptile bulb, which is a ceramic bulb, which doesn't put out light and have light separate. So I don't know, Steve. We might have to change your setup. You've been doing it for a long time, though. PJ says my brooders have a heater, so the light is put a Govee bulb in, shut off at night, gradually coming on in the morning. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know there was a Govee bulb. I did not know about that. Interesting. I'm just familiar with Govee for the temperature hydrometer sensors. All right. Superman movies. I'm not into that. You have a mystery color. There are lots of mystery colors. Yep. And Vern is the same way. Heat plate all the way. There's too many potentials for fire with a heat bulb. And I know Steve mentioned this last week, I think it was, is if you're going to use a heat lamp, they usually come with a clamp, and you can clamp that on something, but make sure you do a secondary securing. So tie something on there, screw it on somehow, do use some other type of securing because those do fail. And if that bulb falls, it will break and most likely start a fire. So make sure you double up on how you connect those to whatever you're connecting it to. Desiree has a ceramic bowl. Good. And Steve's not changing. Pro heat lamp. And Erica uses a reptile heater. Yeah. I one time sold some baby quail, they were young, to someone on a road trip, and she brought a hot water bottle with her. Like not like glass or plastic, like what are those called? The loose ones? The ones that can take form. Not a hard plastic, but a soft plastic. And put a towel around it, and they just snuggled up to that and did perfectly on hours ride. So there are ways to do that. Oh, Verna says yes. Go via your Amazon Light controlled by Alexa. I don't do that. If I say that, will I get to control your guys' things? Can I tell it to do stuff right now? Do you know what that is?
Right. Alexa?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Siri's cousin.
Yeah. All right. Serena says I'm growing mini spoon tomatoes, and based on what I've heard, I probably planted in the wrong bed, or I should have planted it in the bed by itself. I have a string trellis system with cattle panels. I think Dawn has grown. Have you grown mini spoons or just spoons? So have you heard of those? Spoon tomatoes?
Plastic or metal?
No. They're tomatoes that are like that big. Why? I don't know.
Why bother?
That's my question to have. I don't know. I think Dawn might have grown those. So you can, maybe Dawn will tell us more about her experience. Anime says, I have 2 blacks, 1 silver, 1 red, yellow. You know, the color they are when they're babies, I mean, you can tell what they are going to be as an adult, but, you know, like yellow turns to white. That's pretty regular. If they're yellow chicks, they're most likely going to be white.
Yeah. We're not talking tomatoes anymore.
No, we
Okay.
switched subjects.
Okay.
This is how it goes on these lives. We're talking about quail babies. Quail chicks. Dawn says, my indoor brooders, I use a heat lamp. Outside, I use a do-it-yourself heater that I have on all my cages run by an Inkbird. Inkbird is a thermostat controlling thing where it turns on and off based on the temperature. Yeah. Hot water bottle. Hot water bag, hot water bottle. Thank you, Steve, for the appropriate names. Oh, Verna's is called Echo. Hey, Echo. Okay, Serena says this bed has 4 other tomato plants, 1 indeterminate, 3 determinate varieties. The brown sugar is indeterminate, and others are Roma and Rushmore. So for those that don't know this already, I'll explain what indeterminate and determinate tomatoes are. Determinate tomatoes have a height that they're going to get to, and they will not get higher. They will not grow more than that height. And so those, if you prune tomatoes, those are the ones you don't prune or don't prune as much because they will only grow so high. Indeterminate tomatoes will grow forever as long as the weather allows. And tomatoes can go multiple years if they don't freeze or frost. And the indeterminate tomatoes, they'll grow lots and lots and lots. And those are the ones that people tend to prune. I don't prune tomatoes because I'm not in a super humid area. If you're in a super humid area, then that's something people do. But yeah, they grow a lot, indeterminate. They grow a lot. Oh my gosh, PJ says mine is Echo or Ziggy, but not here yet. I don't have those. I find them very creepy. Oh, Dawn hasn't grown them that small. Just micro dwarf tomatoes. I knew it was small. They put out cherry tomatoes. Okay. Oh, the micro dwarf tomatoes, the actual plants are small. I remember now. There's micro dwarf and mini spoon.
I like apartments. Size.
Apartment size. So Dawn grows indoors in a what's the one without fish? Hydroponic. In a hydroponic system. She grows indoors. But this year she's growing outdoors because she has more mobility this year. Steve says the red yellow could end up as an Italian tuxedo. Yeah. Yeah, so we're back to quail now. Quail babies. Verna, I could yell louder. Dawn says we built it into a plastic ammo box, small fan, and 200-watt ceramic something that heats it. I just ordered the parts. He puts it together. So she's talking about the heater for the outdoor. Yeah. That's what I was joking about, Steve. Hello, Andy Rabbit. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Yes, so that's what I mean by pruning. Verna's saying determinate tomatoes, you do not take off the suckers. And that's what I'm talking about with pruning. Oh, Erica says I have to go for tonight. Nice to see you, John. Nice to see you. Good night, Erica. Serena, you're on a movie kick, huh? You know, they made How to Train Your Dragon. Wasn't that a cartoon movie? That was a cartoon movie. Amy's here. Heidi, hi. Hi, Amy. All right, welcome. Everybody's saying hello. Okay, so Anime's talking about her quail. Her pair that she has is a male Tibetan and a female silver and white from the Schofield Silver Collection. I do not know about the Schofield Silver Collection, except that it exists, because I've never had them. Someone on here probably knows more.
It's not like a coin.
A coin? Yeah. The silver is the color, but Schofield is a person who did a bunch of breeding for quail, and the selection is like, these are the ones that breed together, and he likes them. I don't know. All it is a color. It's not like a type of quail. It's a color. All right. I could yell louder. Okay, Verna. Don says, I keep indoor lettuce, shishito peppers, and tomatoes, bok choy growing indoor all summer for my parrot mainly. Outside is a lot of stuff, but no sun forever. What? So stuff is still sitting still. Oh, you guys have been getting storms, huh? That is right. Yes, Amy says varied in colors throughout the Schofield silver. Yep. But it's all about colors. It's not like a different type of quail. It's a different color quail. Yeah. So that's good. Well, I brought Mama Kitty with me. I don't know if that was a mistake or not, but she is not happy. But I don't know that she would be happy with nobody in the house with her. And when the neighbors' kids went to feed her, they might, accidentally let her out. I didn't want her to have to go through all of that. So she is okay, but not happy. And she did fine in the car most of the way. Dawn says we have like rain or permanent cloud cover, no sun, dark. Wow. For how long? Desiree says looks like a tuxedo but silver on top. Interesting. Okay. And Verna says I have one Malabar spinach that has sprouted in under a week. They claim it takes about 3 weeks for them to germinate. Verna, you also had like quail laying at 5.5 weeks or something ridiculous like that. I think things just grow for you. Just accept it. Malabar spinach is it's not even a spinach, I don't think. Is it actually a spinach? It's a leafy, viney thing that is really good for you. Really nutritious, but it has a lot of the mucilaginous stuff, kind of like okra. It's not as good as I thought it was going to be. We have an update for the fire. If you guys don't know about the app Watch Duty, it's a good thing to have. if you're in fire-prone area, so you can keep track of fires, and that's what you just heard. Let's see. Desiree says, I got strawberries that are at the end of their season. Awesome. Where I have my house now, where I live, there's tons of native strawberries, and they're so sweet and so good. And they taste a little, like the flavor is still strawberry, but it's different. Yeah. Andy says, I've taken my cat on a trip to my dad's house before too. She wasn't pleased, but she did okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh. 90% dark cloud cover over the past 3 weeks. So Dawn is in the Midwest where it storms a lot. It's okay. Nature loves you. Yes, it does, Verna. Okay. Verna's Googling. Malabar spinach, scientifically known as Bacella alba, is a tropical leafy green, not a true spinach that thrives in warm climates. Is known for its mild, slightly peppery flavor and succulent, thick leaves that can be eaten raw or cooked. It's a fast-growing vine that can add a decorative touch to gardens, especially when it produces pink flowers and purple berries. And those are very pretty, but if you do plant it, you will have it every year for all of time. I was going to plant it in a different place the next year, and then they started coming up like, I guess I'm not planting it. It's planting itself. Yeah. Okay. Desiree says hers are ornamental variety, so it has pretty pink flowers. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh, 24 inches of rain in the last 60 days. 60 days is 2 months. That's not bad. What? 24 inches of rain in 2 months.
That's about 4 years worth.
For here? Okay, well, let's talk about that then. What's your annual so far?
6 or 7.
Okay.
That's always.
So they're in the high desert where I grew up, and my dad's been doing kokoros. You don't know what kokoros is? You want to enter?
You did a video about it.
I did a video about it.
And make a link.
Okay, I'll make a link. I'll make a link. Coco Raha Ra. There we go. So kokoros. Copy.
That's a lot of work.
What wanted me to do it? Did I do that right? It doesn't look
That'd be
right.
easier.
Rain, hail, rain, hail.
Anyway, it doesn't rain
Snow.
much here.
How many years have you been doing it?
15, 20.
It's something that has started in Colorado after a town almost got wiped out. And if Erica was still on here, she knew about that. She was around that area at that time, and basically, university. I think did it get taken over by the university, or did the university start it? Anyway, it's run by a university now, and it's throughout the United States, Puerto Rico, Guam. I don't know where else. Canada. Is it in Mexico too?
Probably.
Maybe. Anyway, it's citizen science, and it's awesome. And there's a link.
It's all volunteer.
Yep. Anyway, what you see on the radar is not necessarily what was. What you see on the radar is not necessarily what you see on the ground, and that is what instigated it, pretty much. Okay, let's go up.
And oftentimes here,
Yes.
when it rains, it doesn't hit the ground.
Right.
Because it's so dry here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Remy. She reacted to that. Ooh.
They woke her up.
No, she was looking at stuff. Uh-oh. Amy says, proof not true. I planted Malabar spinach once and it flat out refused my hospitality. I don't know what to tell you, Amy. Oh, goodness. Oh my gosh. Andy had to buy eggs. The 4th dozen I bought since 2019. My goodness. Why are we saying 1920?
I don't know.
What is 1920, Verna? I don't know what that is. Oh, she hears a nighthawk. There's a nighthawk outside doing its diving right now. What is 1920? We want to know what 1920 is.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll say well.
Yo, what?
I'll say well.
Wow. Okay. So, what else have you? Oh, I thought he said he has been doing. Oh, lacrosse since 1920. No, 10 or 20 years, right?
15 or 20.
Oh, 15 or 20 years. Yeah, he's not that old. I'm not that
I feel
old.
like it.
Oh, you recently did that, right? Andy Rabbit says the other 3 dozen have been for the kids to dye Easter eggs. Yeah. Yeah. So what other change what changes have you seen here? Because you guys got a lot of rain this year, just like I did. But not me, not a lot of rain, but a lot of rain at once. And share what a lot of rain for most of the people on here in the Midwest, share what a lot of rain is here. Like per day.
Quarter inch. Yeah. Doesn't rain here much.
Yeah. And was it a quarter inch that made rivulets in the hillside?
No. I think that was maybe half inch. So.
A half inch?
But the ground here, it doesn't really absorb the water very well.
Runs off. Yeah. It's sandy clay,
Yeah.
but not like mixed. That's kind of weird. Yeah.
It's almost dirt.
It's almost dirt. I guess.
That's one reason I don't have a garden anymore. Have the cold weather, kind of crummy, it's like dirt. And not worth it.
Well, remember when we got the load of cow manure?
Yeah. I got lots of weeds.
It got lots of weeds. That I don't know why we didn't expect that. That it was so obvious that we should have expected it. What was that when we first moved here, or a couple years in? Do you remember? I just remember spreading it.
Friend of your mom's.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember spreading it on the garden. And it stunk, and then we had a lot of weeds. Like the whole thing was weeds. And that was back when we had a blow up rattlesnake that we had to move around because the birds, right?
Yeah.
We
don't get dew here much either.
Right. So Steve is saying we get a 1/4 inch from our morning dew. Where I live, we get dew, and even if it doesn't rain, you do get dew. I don't think I ever remember even having dew here.
Yeah.
I know it probably happens at some point, but
You get frost once in a while, but
right, and hoarfrost too.
yeah.
I feel like you get hoarfrost more than you get frost. What causes hoarfrost?
Of course. Didn't ask for that one.
I did. You guys see where the comedy comes from? Keeps having updates, but there's no updates.
Morning dew, that does not count as participation,
As participation or precipitation?
if you want to know that. For either one.
Okay.
It's going to fall from the sky.
Right. And you want to tell people how dew is formed?
I don't know how it's formed.
It basically is condensation.
And you're the scientist.
You want to tell people about dew? It's basically condenses onto the grasses and stuff when it has to do with temperature changes and barometric pressure. Is that right?
And that's why nothing rusts here, and we're going to have a problem with that stuff.
Well, we also don't have to put salt on the roads in the winter.
Yeah.
We put cinder. Verna says hoarfrost is a delicate feathery ice formation that occurs when water vapor in the air transforms directly into ice crystals on surfaces with temperatures below freezing. Not horror frost.
I have a lot of good pictures of the hoarfrost on the trees and bushes around here.
It basically is like a crystalline structure
Yeah.
that you can see. I mean, like it can be frost like that tall. Like, yeah. Do you guys get hoarfrost in the Midwest, or is it too wet? Like, is it? I kind of wonder that. Because here I feel like the moisture is pulled out and stuck to something. Doesn't have another place to go to.
And maybe they just get a horror frost.
Oh, you guys get horror frost and we get hoarfrost. Okay. About that. In any case, it's not happening this summer.
Yeah, we got horse smoke.
Yeah, we got some smoke today. It's rare there, but it does happen. Okay. And Steve says our humidity is thick, but not that thick. And Dawn says, heck, I get hard frost and I get frost heave on bushes and some flowers. We do get frost heave here. Frost heave is when it frosts and things end up getting buried. Like the earth goes up around things. So that's like, where we buried Casper. Casper was my old cat. Put a little ceramic planter, a little fish that she always used to drink out of. It was out by the sprinklers and it would fill with water.
Sunk into the ground.
It sunk. I don't think you can see it anymore, can you? Yeah, it sunk into the ground. So that's what frost heave does. Yeah. And Dawn says, I can't grow asters due to frost heave. I gave up. Oh no.
I thought they said oysters.
Or oysters. You probably can't grow oysters where she is either.
Should be wet enough.
I mean, aren't they in salt water?
That's what you do the roads, right?
Salt?
So they
I
probably
don't think that counts. No, they just have well salted asparagus, right?
Our asparagus blooms here.
Right. So when we moved in, the lady who had managed the gardens before we came here was a true gardener. She had flowers and stuff all over the place, and there was some stuff that we had no clue what it was. How many years did it take us before we figured it out? It was asparagus. But it never got big. It was always like this little tiny thing that just would fern and had berries on it. Had these little tiny flowers and berries, and we never knew what it was until I think I might have identified it. Maybe. I mean, it was a long time. We never like tried to eat it or anything. But yeah. Anyway, they have asparagus. Dawn says I live between 3 freshwater lakes. Oh man.
Superior, Erie,
The big ones?
yeah, Michigan.
There you go. Yeah, so things don't grow as quickly here. It can freeze or frost at least at any time of the day or any day of the year, right?
Pretty much.
Or nearly so here.
Yeah.
What did we decide it was here? Was it 6A or 6B or
I
something?
looked it up when you did that. It was the first week of like July or something. I don't know what the zone was, but
Oh, yeah.
First frost.
Zones have nothing to do with
Yeah.
dates. The first frost.
first frost.
Okay.
I looked up.
Or last frost would have been July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the zone is. It's just I gave up on that. I really don't care.
He has one mulberry tree that I got him years ago, thinking he'll have mulberries by now. And how many years ago was that?
5, 6.
It's a long time. Oh my goodness.
5 foot tall tree.
At least it's growing. I think
It's
it was a
green.
seedling. I don't think it was a cutting. I think
It's
it was a
green.
seedling. Yeah. Serena says, what do soil scientists read to get their news? The compost. Desiree says, my grandma has asparagus, but it's never produced berries. It should produce berries if you don't cut it. So if you're growing asparagus for food, which they are not, if you grow asparagus for food, what you're supposed to do is wait the first 3 years from seed. And at that point, it establishes a really good root system. and wait for it to be basically pinky thick. I mean, some people say pencil thick, but I say pinky thick. And at that point, you can cut it and eat it. You can break it off and eat it too. And then it'll grow and give you a bunch of spears. And then once it gets back down to below pinky thick, then you stop harvesting it, and it'll fern and berry, or flower and berry. Now, whether there are varieties that are all male, I don't know, and I don't know if maybe their flowers are different. But asparagus flowers are not showy. They're like a cream yellow.
I never noticed them.
Go look at them. Do some yoga to get out. They're you might not be seeing them just because of how they are. Yeah. Andy says, I really like my purple asparagus. I like it better than my green. I've had purple asparagus and it is good. It's good. Yeah. And Andy says it could be a male mulberry tree. It flowered though.
I didn't check it to see what it was.
I don't know. It was supposed to be an everbearing mulberry, and it was supposed to have fruit. It was off of Etsy, and I don't remember who from, but it is pretty much just a tree.
Yeah, but I don't take care of it either. So
You water it.
yeah.
But you don't
That's all I
feed
do.
it.
No.
Yeah, mulberries are probably not the best thing for the high desert. Steve says they are not really big berries. Yeah, the asparagus berries. So the asparagus berries are actually, they're red, so they should be noticeable, but they're like pea-sized. Steve says you have to lift up the mulberry branches to sex it properly.
That sounds kinky.
Andy says I didn't know there was males and females mulberries. I didn't know that either. I thought that they.
You want me to go look at it? I see what it is.
I don't think you can tell. I thought they all have berries. I don't know. I thought they all have berries. I don't know. I know you can take them from cuttings, and I thought that was what I was getting, but I think I got a seedling instead. So, yeah. Dawn says I have two bird planted mulberry trees that I cut down to 5-foot tall bushes. They are close together. One had flowers and berries are now on it. The other one, nothing. Can I get rid of it? Can you? Yes. What is your question?
Do whatever you want. Yeah.
So if you cut it,
Do they need each other?
no, I think
asking?
she's just saying because they're underneath your power line. I think we've talked about this before.
Oh.
I know all these people's lives, right? You guys know me. You can get rid of it, but the thing is, mulberries sprout. So either you have to dig up the roots enough, or keep cutting it back. I mean, you could also paint poison on the cut. I've done that for some trees that I didn't want to come back, and it minimizes the effects of the herbicide. It doesn't, there isn't no effect, I'm sure, to everything else, but yeah. Okay. Amy says, crazy question. I have old 4 years expired blocks of tofu with all the talk of phytoestrogens. Should I compost them?
How does tofu expire?
That is a good question, Amy. We would like to know how tofu expires. I don't know. I don't back away from soy products, but I also don't run towards them. What Amy's talking about is there are phytoestrogens in soy products. And what that is it's something that acts like estrogen. Honestly, I don't know that it would be enough to change stuff. And I don't know how it's taken up by plants. So that's not a question for me. That's a question for somebody who knows more about phytoestrogens.
It's like, what does water have? I tried date on
Why does salt have a date on
it.
it?
Yeah.
That's the one. Why does water have a date on it?
Sugar. And
Okay. But salt is a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Andy Rabbit says, I just found that out last year. Oh, I didn't pay attention to that because that's never been a plant that's on my radar. It's nice, it's good, it's tasty, but it hasn't been on my radar. So yeah. Andy says January this year, so not long at all. January this year. Oh, so it wasn't long at all. So he says mulberry trees can either be monoecious, having both male and female flowers on the same tree, or dioecious, having male and female flowers on separate trees. Okay. That's the case for a lot of different things. So some things like pistachios, they need a male to pollinate, and a lot of things don't. I think most fruits don't, but a lot of nuts do. Yeah. It doesn't look expired. What does expired look like, Amy? I personally, 4 years expired. I don't know about that for tofu, but yeah, maybe talk to Steve. He knows about tofu expiring, apparently.
And Katrina likes having tofu cake
You want to tell a story?
on her birthday. No, you can't. It'll take me all day.
What year? How old was I?
Young. 5.
When I was super young. So my birthday is April Fool's Day. Comes with the territory. And my mom decided to play a trick on me and have cheesecake with sprinkles on it for my birthday. But instead of cheesecake with sprinkles, it was a cold raw block of tofu with sprinkles. And you had a bite before and nobody saw you, right?
I don't remember.
Oh, that's a story that I've been told.
I remember your bite.
Yeah, and I don't remember my bite. So what I remember is
She took a bite and it came out faster than it went in. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that. What I do remember is my brother and I taking it around to the neighbors trying to give it away. And finally I don't remember who took it, but one of the neighbors took it. Because we didn't eat. I didn't even know about tofu at that age, and we never had it.
And then we got the real cake out. So
What was the real cake?
white chocolate or something. I don't know.
Something that didn't resemble what we had just
Yeah.
nastily eat. Yeah. So we have a rule in our family where the birthday person gets the first bite. I don't know if it was started on that day or if it existed before.
Mommy's rule.
Okay. Okay. Dawn says, oh, I will leave the tree another year before I get rid of it in case I miss the flowers. Yep. Okay. Why does sugar have a date on it? Sugar probably, I would say it probably changes form more than goes bad. You know how it does go bad. It probably would go bad eventually. Honey doesn't. It will change form. It'll crystallize. I don't know. Do an experiment. Get back to us. Howie's here. Food Forest Permaculture. Greetings, Earthlings. Greetings, Howie. I hope you're doing well. Amy says, my fruiting mulberry is a tease. The branches I can reach are over the pond. Time to get a floaty out there and put some tarp on top of a floaty and give it a shake. Yeah, like Steve says, shake your mulberry tree, see if pollen falls off. Male trees have flowers that produce pollen. Well, so do trees that have both male and female. So at least then you'll know you have male. But when do they pollen? When do they pollen? That's a sentence. When do they do that?
I guess in the spring.
Yeah.
That's when the junipers do here.
Right. Okay, Verna says plants with phytoestrogens. Some of the most common sources include soybeans and soy products like tofu, flax seeds. I didn't know that. Sesame seeds, legumes like beans and lentils, and certain fruits. Right. I think it's highest in soybeans for the foods that we typically eat, is my understanding. And that's why there was some concern about that. I haven't done any like research into like comparing what's natural. Now, I mean, male and female both have estrogen. Just like we both have testosterone. It's just at different levels. So, yeah. Verna says, like berries and like berries and pomegranates and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, and Brussels sprouts. Okay. I did not know those also had phytoestrogens. I'm going to guess it's pretty low in those. Yeah. Sugar goes into brick form, hard to use. That makes sense. 66 Nickels, welcome, welcome. Hi, I've just found your channel and see that you have rabbits over your quail in some videos. Does that work well for you? Do you recommend that versus separate housing? Well, first of all, welcome. Welcome to the group. We do a live chat every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, except for the first Monday of the month. Okay, bye.
I know.
And the first Monday of the month, we do Thursday instead. Would you like
If
me
I
to move?
can.
Would you like me to move? You're going to slide out gracefully?
Oh, no. Ah. I think I made it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to fall very far if you,
No,
if you
no.
fall.
No room to fall.
Okay. Thanks for joining us.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, my assessment for rabbits over quail, I started doing rabbits over quail because of the rack and house, which is rabbits over chickens. Rabbits over chickens works exceedingly well. Rabbits over chickens, I would recommend over doing them separate. Rabbits over quail is really, really good for small spaces. If you want to maximize your space use and you're using those animals, go ahead and do it. If you have enough space and if you have enough space to do it separately with quail and rabbits, I would do it separately and I would get a couple chickens to put underneath the rabbits. The differences between quail and rabbits are not quail and rabbits. The difference between quail and chickens is pretty big in their function. So I call it the raviary. That's what I dubbed it. And it for a smaller lot. That was when I was on my old property. It's going. Okay, I'm back. That was on when I was on at my old property, and it is a 7,000 square foot lot where I had a bunch of stuff going on. I had over 50 fruit trees, a pond that I dug, raising rabbits for meat, raising quail for meat and eggs, raising chickens for their I had 3 pet chickens with their eggs, and garden space. So I was using my space to the max, and for me that worked because I could have a second aviary with quail. I had one that didn't, or with a second aviary with quail and rabbits. I had one aviary that only had quail, and the other one I called it a raviary with rabbits over quail. The thing that chickens do that quail do not do is scratch. Now, quail will scratch a little bit. They'll surface scratch. They're not going to churn in that compost. The point of a rack and house, which is rabbits over chickens, is you do it on deep litter. Deep litter, I'm talking big deep litter. And that's, wood chips with the greens in it, with the branches and leaves and all of that. And what they do is the rabbits poo and pee, right, onto the wood chips. The chickens also do their business. Here you go. News of the day. Chickens don't pee. Birds don't pee. They poo only. That's why it's a high nitrogen content. That's why compost with chicken or quail or any of those birds manure, why it has to break down more is because they don't separate the poo and pee. So in that system with chickens, the chickens churn that in all day, every day. All day, every day, they're rototilling it in. And they are basically moving this compost pile at a nearly constant rate. And when you compost things and you turn it, the more often you turn it, the faster that's going to turn into compost. And they do a really, really, really good job at that. Quail do not do a good job of that. So you have to be the chicken in that aviary system and use a rake or a shovel or whatever you want and turn it over. And not only that, but you also want to bring the material that's underneath the rabbits over to the place that isn't over underneath the rabbits. Just like the chickens, eventually they're going to move that all the way throughout their space. You have to do that, be the chicken in that quail setup. So it, hey, again, what happened? Okay, I'm back. It does work. You have to be the chicken in the relationship, and you have to be the manure flipper, right? So you have to be the compost manager. And as long as you do that, it is perfect. Depending on how many quail you have in the system, and depending on how many rabbits you have in the system, and or how many babies there are for the rabbits in the system, it can be hard to keep up. So making sure that you have that ability ahead of time is a good idea. And depending on the number of individuals, that'll depend on how often it needs to be managed. So I'm going to scroll down after some of these comments and see if you have any follow-up questions, but it does absolutely work. And the birds do figure out how to avoid the bathrooms for the rabbits. That is a concern I had for both the chickens and the rabbits. And yeah, they might get peed on a couple times. They figure it out very quickly. So don't worry too much about that. All right. Steve says sugar doesn't expire, though can become clumpy and change color. Right. All right. Andy will be back. Yeah. So Verna says when you have quail and aviaries, that is great. Yeah. So that's a good point. Is I'm specifically talking about over deep litter, and that's how I have done my aviaries. Yeah. All right. Back to mulberry for Steve. Depending on climate, April, May for producing pollen. Okay. So we're past it. Serena's watching basketball. Oh, everybody says bye. He's gone. Serena says, why were the plants and trees drunk? They had too much root beer? Serena. Amy says, I made a grievous error in my raised bed. Uh-oh. I thought I planted a compact bush squash, and it seems to be a pumpkin on Google Lens. Most pumpkins aren't compact. However, is it from your compost, maybe? Things do volunteer. Put up a trellis. Come on, get a cattle panel in there. And things that don't actually climb will climb. Pumpkins will climb if you start them going. But good luck. Good luck. Pumpkin is a squash. That is true. But she specifically said a compact bush squash. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Steve says you'll just have to eat the leaves. Pumpkin greens is a good thing. I did not know pumpkin leaves is a thing, but definitely pumpkin flowers is a thing. Let's see. There we go. Here is a link to Quick Garden Dessert. And it is, I don't remember if I used pumpkin or summer squash or whatever, but all squash flowers that I have planted, at least, I have used to make this recipe. I call it dessert leaves. And it's awesome. And I like to do sage cooked in butter. So you make basically a sage butter. And then the leaves are dessert leaves. Like they crunch and they're yummy, and don't have it every day because it's like bad for you, right? All that fat. But you can stuff the flowers of pumpkins, of summer squashes, of zucchinis, all of those you can stuff the flowers of. And here's a fun fact. If it's a male flower, And let me put in a link here to tell you which one's flower. Show all. If it's a male flower, it's going to only be open once. And then after that, it dies and falls off. So if you collect in the late morning or afternoon, any of the male flowers that have already opened are free for the taking. You're not going to destroy anything by eating it. And here's a male versus female squash flowers video that I did. And that way you can see which one is which one it is. And you can also eat the female flowers. It's just with the knowledge that you're going to not get the fruit that was going to become. But I like to stuff them with the sage and cream cheese and a little piece of date. Other herbs in there is great as well. And cook them in that herb butter, which is awesome. So, yeah. 66 Nickels. This is extremely helpful. Thanks so much. You're welcome so much. And I am going to give you guys maybe 10 more minutes. I was going to end at 7 because I do have to drive home tonight. And we will go until 7:10 to ask more questions, tell about different things and all of that. If we want to talk more rabbits and quail, I know Nichols, you're new to the channel. I'm gonna give. I mean, not that everybody else can't ask questions. I'm just saying they've heard me before. If you have more questions, shout them out with your keyboard, and we'll go through them. Yeah, so I've been raising quail for a while and rabbits for a while. Rabbits actually longer than quail, and they're both very good animals to raise, and they're both very easy to process. They're very easy to handle. They're very easy all around. Rabbits are super quiet. Quail females are. The males aren't quiet. But yeah, it's super, super good to do that. I raise my rabbits as my breeders. I basically treat as pets, and the babies, I mean, I don't mistreat them, but they are going to be food. I know this from the beginning, and recently had to describe this to a neighbor kid. But what's very cool about raising rabbits, besides having rabbit meat and being more self-sufficient, is you get to, have cute babies all the time. I mean, as long as you understand that they're going to be food, you're fine. Yeah. Oh, Desiree, how do I not get attached to my chicks? That is the question, isn't it? I have a feeling you're already attached, dear. Knowing you. And that's okay to a point if they're going to be pets. You have to have it in your head if they're either not going to be yours, so if you're going to give them away or sell them, you have to have that in your head. They're hatching right now for you, so have it in your head right now. These are not for pets. And some people do it by not naming them. Some people name them after food, so they remind themselves every time that it's food. And some people end up with millions of animals. So I encourage you to go through that mental process. I would have encouraged you to do that before they're hatching. But since they are already hatching, go through that mental exercise of these are not food, but you can still pet them and care for them and all of that. You have to separate it in your head, though, if it is going to be food. Because if you don't, you're going to have a very, very, very hard time processing it. How I go through this is I understand it's for meat. It's never not going to be meat. It's never not going to be meat. That's its purpose. If at some point someone is going to buy an animal, then it's rescued, right? It's liberated. But in my mind, if something is meant to be meat, it is meant to be meat. And your goal then is to raise it as well as you can. You want to raise it so they're happy. You want to raise it so they're healthy. You want to raise them so they're in good conditions. And knowing that your food, your future food, has a good life and most importantly, has a good end. Well, I don't know if it's most important. There's both important. If it has a good life and it has a good end, then you will feel better about eating the food you grow. And I guess that's what I can say for now. And maybe some other people have some tips, but you have to start with that mentality. If it is going to be a meal, it's going to be a meal. And I tell you what, it's kind of hard to eat your first one if you haven't processed before, but at the same time, you feel a tremendous guilt if you don't eat it all. And so plan to eat it. Maybe plan to share it with people. You're like, you know what? I'm going to do one bird and I'm going to share it with some friends and it's going to all be eaten. Because when you raise an animal, kind of like a part of you goes into that, and a part of how you've treated it goes into that, a part of its end goes into that. And if you are a person who eats meat, I guarantee you that meat is going to be better for you than what comes from the store. I guarantee you that is going to be more well taken care of than what comes from the supermarket. And it will have had a good life. So the goal is, they say the goal is for it to have one bad day. I disagree. The goal is to have it have a good life. And that one bad day should only be a tiny, tiny bad moment. And if done correctly, which might take a while, it might take a few times, and just understand that too. It will, if done correctly, I believe it doesn't feel pain, or at least not much pain. That things happen so quickly, and that they don't have time to react to that. So that is my philosophy. And if it's helpful, I did recently being like this summer, do a whole video on this. Psychology behind raising your own meat. That's what it was. I'm going to put this in the raising your own meat. And here, because I go into a little bit more detail there. If you are a first-time processor, definitely watch that video. And yeah, Desiree, I remember you did one at QuailCon. Yeah. And that's good that you have that experience, because you know what to do. You kind of know what to expect, but it is different doing it yourself. It is. Yeah. All right, let me go back up. 2 minutes to put your question in.
You're done.
Not quite yet. Give them some extra time. 1 male for 4 hens. Yeah, 1 male for 4 or 5. 4 to 6 is what it is. Desiree's in a situation where she has 1-to-1. Sue says, keep all the extra meals in your bedroom. You'll stop being attached to them quickly once they turn 5 weeks of age. So what Steve is saying is that at 5 weeks or a little sooner, they do start crowing and they do get annoying with each other, and it'll be time to be less attached at that point. Dawn says, I won't name them if they are food. I play with babies as newborns, but are food when they aren't babies. Steve also plays with the food. Yeah, so Dawn says don't sit and play with them, but just a little bit. So don't, yeah, that makes sense. Steve says, my attraction dissipates as they mature. They're cute and cuddly. And that's another thing. If you are hatching all the time, you can get your cute cuddly fix from the next batch. And yeah. Dawn says, when you get an injured one and you have to stop it suffering is when you can get up the guts to help out of pain. That is true. That is true. So whenever you're raising an animal, you need to have a decision. And honestly, you should have a decision ahead of time of where you draw your line, where you're going to help, where you're not going to help, maybe how much a bill might be if you're taking into a vet and all that. So start drawing those lines right now. Yeah. Good one. Desiree says, I was told I was good and that I probably did it in my past life. Ooh, thank you, Steve. Have you heard about Katrina's Kits? It's a membership, and we do Cook With Me Live every month. I don't know when we're going to do next month's, but they'll be probably after PJ's moved in. I don't know when PJ's going to be moved in. She's probably already gone to bed. All right. Verna says they start practicing their voices about 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah. One of the reasons incubation is an addiction. Yep, a cute, fluffy fix, right? And Anime says, I might bring some to my aunt if I have enough in August. Okay. Time's up. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve and Verna, for moderating. And everybody check them out. And there you go, Dawn. All right. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you guys supporting me. And remember to share around some of these videos, share them to people that might not have seen them yet. And I'm trying to grow the channel and all of that. Tomorrow's video, I know we didn't do Mama Kitty yet. We're doing that later. I forgot about Father's Day. Father's Day video was on Thursday instead. But tomorrow's video is introducing worms into my mom's compost pile. And I talk about a little about vermiculture in that video. So if you want to learn about worms or vermiculture or composting, any of that, tomorrow's video, it's a pretty short video, goes through that. So thank you. Drive safe going home. Thank you. Ringo needs you to come home well. Yes, yes. Mama Kitty needs Ringo. She needs him bad. Poor girl. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. And we will see you next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And new person 66, hopefully you come next Monday and yeah, come prepared with some questions. We may be talking quail and rabbit next week. All right. Thank you guys and have a wonderful, wonderful night.